Okay. So
Okay.
now,
Okay, go back to 99. We'll just start at 99.
okay.
Okay. A ring and a photo. Mehera's sister, Franny, discovered that she was pregnant, and Mehera went to Ahmednagar to stay with her in Kushru quarters, where Franny was living in two small. Oh, can everyone mute?
Yeah, I'll mute them all.
Yeah. In December 1923.
Oh, I muted you. Sorry, Rosalie. I just didn't mute
Okay,
you.
let's go on.
I shouldn't
Let's go on.
mute you.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm starting over. Mehera's sister, Franny, discovered that she was pregnant, and Mehera went to Ahmednagar to stay with her in Kushru quarters, where Franny was living in two small rooms. In December 1923, interesting, now we're 2023, small Khorshid came to visit them, but she found that Mehera was not happy in Ahmednagar. Mehera mentioned to Khorshid that grandmother Shireen often went to Sakori and stayed for a few weeks. Sakori is a very nice place, Mehera told her. I would like to go back there sometime. To which Khorshid responded that she too would like to go. Then one day, to their surprise, Baba, who had been to Karachi and was now secretly returning to Meherabad, arrived unexpectedly at Kushru quarters. Mehera asked him, "May I go to Sakori for a few days with my grandmother the next time she goes?" "Yes, but only for a few days." Baba said, "Don't stay longer than 15 days. Khorshid asked, "Baba, may I go with Mehera?" Baba agreed to this also, but repeated, "You may go, but don't stay more than 15 days. Remember this." They happily agreed, thinking it would be easy to leave after a few weeks. Shortly thereafter, grandmother Shireen, Dalat Mai, Mehera, and Khorshid went by train to Sakori, but Dalat Mai did not stay. She returned to Pune, where Baba held darshan the last week of December at Sadashiv Patil's home. At Sakori, Mehera and Khorshid did not stay with grandmother Shireen this time, but with the Kanyas. It was winter time and very cold, but they lived like the other girls, sleeping on the floor without pillows and going barefoot within the ashram premises. Early every morning, they went to Maharaj, who was still in his bamboo cage, for arti. "We did what they did," said Khorshid. "We were young and enjoyed it." Sometimes Maharaj gave them food, but he warned them not to take any fruit or other eatable brought to him, unless he gave it to them as prasad. He explained that these items were full of sanskaras, impressions of the people giving it. When I take it and give it to you, it is different. During the day, Mehera and Khorshid sang bhajans in the temple with the other girls. No men were allowed inside while they were there. They also learned to play musical instruments. Mehera tried to play the mridangam, double-ended barrel drum. When someone presented Maharaj with the harmonium, He told Khurshid to play it every day at Arti. Mehera and the other girls accompanied her on rhythmic sticks. Maharaj stayed mostly in his hut, but when he no longer confined himself to the cage, he would at times suddenly come to the women's living quarters. The call would go out, "Maharaj has come," and everyone assembled. Sometimes in the evening, Mehera took Maharaj's supper tray to him. Maharaj would have her place it on the floor, saying, "Later, I will see to it if I feel hungry." She put it down, bowed, and left. Durgabai, Maharaj's spiritual mother, cooked him plain mung dal, khichdi, rice and lentils cooked together. Due to Maharaj's continental fast. Oh,
Continual.
yeah, I know. Due to Maharaj's continual fast, his intestines were weak and khichdi is light to digest. He ate only once a day. When the girls gathered round him to bow down before retiring, Maharaj might say something to one of them. He was always outspoken with people. He either told them something to their face or scolded another in the audience so that the person concerned would know that Maharaj's comments were directed at her. But he always spoke sweetly with me, said Mehera. One evening when we went to bow down to him, he turned to me and said, "You wouldn't like my kind. I'm old and crippled. I don't put on proper clothes. You would prefer one who is fair, with nice hair and a mustache, a good dresser." I couldn't follow what he meant at the time, but after coming to Baba, I realized that Maharaj was teasing me, saying, "You wouldn't like me as your master, but another such as Meher Baba, who would be just right for you." While Mehera was at Sakori, a few new rooms were being added to the ashram. Every day, the girls, Mehera included, went to the construction site to help carry sand in the gamelas, iron pans on their heads. It was hard work in the hot sun, and they were barefoot. Being from a wealthy family before coming to Sakori, Mehera had never gone barefoot or done manual labor, but she enjoyed any type of physical activity and cheerfully accepted the duty and participated in it fully. I'm going to read the sidebar. If a lizard happened to chirp while Maharaj was speaking, he would remark, "Chuk, chuk, sate," meaning that the lizard had confirmed what Maharaj was saying. Later, Baba would do the same if a bell rang or the clock in Mandali Hall struck the hour while he was talking. It would, in effect, give weight to what was being said. One day, the Kanyas told Mehera about a young mother and her baby from Karanpur who had come to stay with them. During the construction work, the woman placed her baby on a blanket nearby and worked with the others. Maharaj happened to be there, having his feet massaged by some of the girls when the baby started crying. The woman stopped work and sat on the ground to feed it, but Maharaj shouted at her, "While all are working, you are sitting. You are having a nice rest, pampering your baby." Although the child was less than a year old, Maharaj picked it up and threw it on the blanket. The woman immediately got up and went back to work, while other women looked after her baby. Miraculously, it was unhurt. Maharaj was testing the woman to see whether she loved her baby more than him. Mehera concluded, the child grew up to be a fine young woman who followed Maharaj. I need more words.
Yeah.
One day, a middle-aged Brahmin woman came to Sakori for darshan. She sat in front of Maharaj's cage, and he asked her, what do you want?
I can't believe he threw that baby down. They could have had him arrested today.
Well, he threw a rock at the avatar, so
Yeah.
they don't go by law. They're beyond the laws, The woman took darshan and then opened a small bag she was holding. Inside was a gold ring. I love this. Maharaj, I wish to offer you this ring, she said. Maharaj looked surprised. For me? He asked. You can see when I'm wearing a gunny sack. You can say that I'm wearing a gunny sack. I never wear good clothes. You want me to wear a ring? How did you ever get such a crazy idea? The woman persisted, but Maharaj seemed disinclined to accept this gift. Since she looked so crestfallen, he finally said, all right, put it on my toe. The woman pushed it on each of his toes until she found one that fit. After Arti was sung, all filed past Maharaj to take his darshan. But that day, as each woman bent before the master, they hesitated for a fraction longer. Knowing that Maharaj would never keep the ring, they wondered to whom he would give it. When Mehera's turn came, she took darshan and rose, but Maharaj said, no, stay. He took the ring from his toe and said, let me see if this fits you. It did not fit. It was too large. But the ring was pure gold and pliable. So Maharaj easily bent it and put it on Mehera's finger. Don't take it off ever, yes? Maharaj's long-standing Brahmin devotees looked at her, wondering why he had given the ring to this young Zoroastrian girl and not to one of them. Mehera just nodded, but she wore Upasani Maharaj's ring for the next 65 years until she dropped her body. And the sidebar says Upasani Maharaj was also fond of grandmother Shireen. And prior to this incident, he had given her a ring too. After staying in Sakori, the allotted 2 weeks, according to Baba's instructions, Mehera and Khorshid approached Maharaj to take his permission to leave. Shall we go now? They asked. But Maharaj said, don't go. Why do you want to leave so soon? Baba had told them to leave after 15 days, but what could they do when Maharaj wished them to remain? They stayed for 2 more weeks. Finally, Baba sent Gulmai to bring them. It was Monday, 14th January, 1924. Why do you want, don't go. Oh, wait a minute. The Hindu holiday. Let's see, it was Monday, 14th January, 1924. The Hindu holiday of Sankrant. And the women garlanded Maharaj in his cage and adorned him with jewelry. Gulmai, who had arrived on the 10th with Homai and Mota, came before Maharaj and said, Baba is in Bombay now. He will be going to Persia soon and desires to see Mehera and Khorshid before he leaves. Maharaj refused to send them. When she returned to Ahmednagar, Golmai informed Baba, who instructed her to go back to Sikori. Again, Maharaj would not allow the girls to leave. Golmai was sent yet a third time. Khorshid told Maharaj, "We came only for 15 days and we must leave now. You should stay here and work for me," he told them. "But never mind, whatever I wanted to do for you, Merwan will do. Go and serve Merwan." He advised them not to mix with men and then added something about Merwan making Mehera like Babajan. But at the time, the girls did not pay much attention to it. Mehera and Khorshid left immediately with Golmai. They arrived in Bombay that night, and Mehera stayed with Khorshid's family in Irani Tufti mansion. The next day, when they went to see Baba in the Barucha building, where he was then living, he scolded them, saying, "You broke my order." Mehera looked down and kept quiet, but Khorshid replied, "What could we do?" And Maharaj said we couldn't go. We tried our best. And the sidebar says, Irani mansion had originally been Kaikushru Masa's sister's house. It had been given in dowry to her in her first marriage. Later, when Khorshid's aunt remarried to a man named Tufti, the name was changed to Tufti Mansion. And then so Baba says, anyway, Khorshid said, "We tried our best." And Baba says, "Never mind." Baba said, "Now you have to do whatever I say." Turning to Mehera, he instructed her, "Remain in Bombay until I leave for Persia. Then return to Pune with your mother. When I come back, I will call you to Nagar. Come there with your mother." Baba asked Khorshid, "What would you like to do?" Maharaj had instructed Khorshid to return to Sikori in February after the Hindu holiday of Shivratri. He had made her promise, but Baba did not allow her to go. "Stay in Bombay," he said. "When I call you to Nagar, both you and Mehera come. Then we shall see." Dalit Mai was also staying in Irani mansion, and she and the girls went to the Barucha building daily for Baba's darshan. But one day, Baba paid an unannounced visit to Irani mansion with Gustaji, his closest male disciple. Dalit Mai and Sunamasi were in the kitchen. Without making a sound, Baba came on the balcony where Mehera, I lost my place.
Oh, let's see, where Mehera, Khorshid, and Mehera and Khorshid were alone. Do you see where I am?
Yeah, okay. Seeing him, they felt flustered. But Baba sat on an upright harmonium kept there and asked what they were doing. Mehera blushed, not knowing where to look. Quotes in parentheses, "I was wearing a pink sari and my cheeks turned pink also," is what. And the sidebar says, later, Baba sent Mehera back to Sikori, but not Khorshid, who felt it was not destined. Otherwise, she might not have been able to extricate herself again from Maharaj's ashram and would have been stuck there she said.
Oh, interesting.
Interesting, yeah. Baba stood and asked Khorshid to play the harmonium and sing a song. Khorshid had heard that Baba had liked a particular song about Krishna, which he had taught to the Kanyas at Sakori, and from whom Khorshid had learned it. Radha is mentioned in the song, and while Khorshid sang and played, Baba stood smiling, listening to it. He glanced at Mehera, who was looking particularly beautiful in the pink sari, and she glanced back for a moment before looking away. After Khorshid's song, Baba asked Mehera whether she could sing. No, she said, I don't have a good voice. Baba told her to sing anyway. And Mehera too sang a song that she had learned at Sakori. When she finished, Baba asked them, do you know the meaning of it? The girls said yes and mumbled something. But Baba said, look at Radha's love for Krishna. If she didn't see Krishna before her, the world appeared dark to her. Khorshid wondered how this was possible. She did not understand that when Krishna was not present, Radha and the gopis felt as if their life were empty. That is love, Baba concluded. It has to be created. You must love me as Radha loved Krishna. Later, Baba asked them, how do I look?
Okay, thank you, Rosalie. Let Eugene read a little bit if he's willing.
Very beautiful, both replied. You see me only from the outside. If you were to see how beautiful I am inside, you would fall down unconscious. Pointing to himself, Baba said, this, the body, is nothing. That, his divinity, is much, much more. Baba got up and they followed him into the sitting room where there were beds but no sofas. Baba sat on one of the beds while Gustaji sat to one side on a chair. After a few minutes, Baba stood to leave. Mehera was bashful around Baba, but Khorshid was not. And since Mehera was her best friend, she pushed her forward and whispered, come on, we'll embrace Baba. Mehera hesitated, and Khorshid gave her another shove, saying, go. You go first. Khorshid stepped forward and embraced Baba. Again, she nudged Mehera forward, urging, now you go, Mehera. Baba didn't put out his arms to me, Mehera recalled. I felt very awkward, not knowing what to do, not knowing how to greet him. I was so new to Baba and shy anyway, but I got up the courage and went up to him. Impulsively, spontaneously, I took his face in my hands and kissed him on both cheeks. Then I quickly turned around to where Khorshid was standing, feeling very self-conscious and shy. Baba was surprised by my greeting, but he made me feel comfortable by talking to Gustaji and not looking at us. Khorshid was also very surprised. I myself was surprised. That was the first time I ever kissed Baba. Baba was very young, very kissable, with bright eyes and short hair below his ears. Afterwards, Khorshid teased her. I only bent my head to Baba's cheek and embraced him. You never told me you were going to kiss Baba, and on both cheeks. Even years later, Khorshid would laugh and joke with Mehera about this incident. Don't forget that it was I who encouraged you in 1924, she would remind her. I had to force you to kiss Baba, and you took all of my Baba. Although Baba and the Mandali were no longer staying at Manzalamim, a Qawwali program was held there in the compound on Sunday, 27 January, and a sumptuous lunch was served by Baba. The men and women ate separately in rows on the ground, while Baba walked up and down the rows, chatting with the visitors, asking, "Have you finished eating? Don't waste anything. Finish everything on your plate." Mehera and Khorshid ate quickly and stole away to another room, which was completely empty, except for a bedding roll. They were sitting on the mattress with their backs to the wall, talking together, when a few minutes later, from the window above their heads, they heard Baba asking, "What are you both doing here?" They were startled. "Nothing, just talking." "About what?" he asked, to which they replied they were merely chit-chatting. But it showed them that Baba had his eyes everywhere.
Right. Do you want to go on or should I pick up?
Oh, please do take a turn, Tina.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to minimize you. Baba was not meeting visitors, but once when he was again at Manzalimim, Rustam had something to discuss with him, and he was permitted entry. Since there were only men inside with Baba, Freni, who was 6 months pregnant, and Mehera waited next door at Dahiwala's, some Parsi Barba lovers. It was around 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and Baba asked Rustam what his plans were for the evening. Rustam, who loved to have a good time, was full of life. Said Mehera, told Baba they were going to the pictures. Which picture? Do you have one in mind? Yes, said Rustam. We've read the advertisements in the paper and intend to see The Love of Sarwar, the Egyptian pharaoh. Very good, go see it, Baba said. After tea and snacks with the Dahiwalas, they went to the cinema and Mehera enjoyed the film. On 2nd February, Narayan Maharaj, one of the 5 perfect masters, came to Bombay. Baba sent Gustaji, Khorshid, Daulat Mai, and Mehera to see him. Before they left, Baba gave Mehera a booklet that had his photograph printed on it. Show this photo to Narayan Maharaj when you approach him, he instructed. I have to show Baba's photo to Narayan Maharaj, Mehera thought apprehensively, but she replied, all right, Baba. They went to a large, well-decorated public hall where carpets were spread for the many people waiting to meet the perfect master. A tall, handsome woman of about 35 was seated on the carpet next to them. This was Anjanibai. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Anjanibai, Narayan Maharaj's chief woman disciple, who once had been a wealthy courtesan and a professional singer. She spoke with them, telling the story of how she had come in the master's contact. An enemy had put poison in the pan she used to soothe her voice while performing. It had destroyed her singing voice. She was desperate. Her voice was the sole source of livelihood. She tried everything to restore it, but it was no use. She had gone to Narayan Maharaj and his darshan and had his darshan and narrated the story. Narayan told her to stay in his ashram for a few days in Kedgaon. After a while, she told Narayan she did not desire to have her voice back anymore. Now she only wished to stay with him and serve him forever. She dedicated herself and her wealth to him. Having come to ask for the return of her voice, she ended up by giving up the world to stay with him. When Anjani Bai finished her story, everyone stood up because Narayan Maharaj was coming. Many rushed forward and surrounded him as he entered the room. Mehera wondered how she was going to show him Baba's picture. Since she could never push her way through this crowd, she asked Gustaji what to do. He said to wait until the crowd had settled down and thinned out. When the crowd parted, they went forward. Narayan Maharaj was short in stature, just Mehera's height. Though he was 40 at the time, he looked 25. Sidebar. As Maharaj took his seat, a flower fell from his garden and was trampled under his feet. Mehera never forgot how Anjani Bai picked up the flower and reverentially pressed it to her lips. Rosalie, you want to pick up?
Yes, he was dressed fashionably in a well-cut vest and had ornate rings on his fingers. Mehera held out the booklet and approached the master. He looked at her, asking if she wanted to say something to him. Yes. She quickly showed him Baba's photo, saying, Narayan Maharaj, this is Meher Baba's photo. She felt awkward, thinking, Narayan Maharaj knows everything, and here I have to say this, but it was Baba's orders. Narayan took the photo, smiled, and said, yes, I know him. I know Meher Baba very well. He touched the photo and handed it back to Mehera. Baba's group joined their hands to Maharaj. They did not bow down or kiss his feet. When they returned home, Baba asked Mehera what Narayan Maharaj had said, and she told him. Baba commented that when Maharaj had said, I know him, he meant perfectly, with his perfect knowledge. Mehera never saw Narayan Maharaj again or visited his tomb in Kedgaon. Of the 5 perfect masters, she personally met 3, Narayan Maharaj, Upasni Maharaj, and Babajan. She had paid her respects at the tomb of Sai Baba in Shirdi, but she neither met Tajuddin Baba nor went to his tomb in Nagpur. Since Baba was leaving soon for Persia with some of his men, Mandali, his 30th birthday was celebrated early on Tuesday, 12th February, at Barucha building with a large canopy erected, singing and large vessels of food brought by Baba himself on his shoulders from Irani mansion. In the afternoon, Baba delivered a discourse on spirituality to those gathered. Mehera and Khorshid, who by now longed to stay with Baba, asked Gustaji, when will Baba allow women to stay with him? Tell Baba to keep us. Gustaji replied, afterwards, perhaps that day will come. 10 days later, after seeing Baba off at the dock, Mehera and Dalat Mai returned to their home in Pune. where Franny soon came to stay with them as the time for her delivery was drawing near.
Ah,
Yeah,
and there
uh,
they are. Sharing
We have a
mine
chat between, yeah,
and Gulmai.
yeah.
Hmm. Let's see, we got some more pictures.
Oh,
Who is that?
that's Irani. I miss it.
Oh, Colonel Irani.
Irani.
Did
the-
MS Irani stand for Marwan Shahryar?
I forget. I think it is Marwan.
Yeah.
I don't know. Marianne Sharia, I think it is.
You want-
Opposition. That's who he is. Opposition.
Isn't that
Yeah.
amazing? He has the same name as
Yeah.
Bubba?
Yeah.
Amazing.
It must be a common name.
Well, uncommonly opposed. I met his I met I met him. Baba pointed him out as reborn again, and he was still in Baba's family. Actually, he was in Baba's family.
Hmm.
Yeah, his last name is Sukadwala, and he's like a nephew of Baram and Perrin. And
Nice.
then, yeah. But no, he's removed because there's Baram and Perrin had a daughter, and she married, and then it's the son. It's and I met him in the United States.
What's his name?
I was trying to think. It's Sukadwala. It could be. I forget the first name, but I realized it after I heard about Colonel Irani, and that I think Jacko Caraco must have said something to me, because I studied Tai Chi with Jacko, and they were friends. Jacko was friends with a lot of Baba's family. Yeah. Yeah.
Eugene, have you ever heard of a Kanya? We
I
tried.
have not.
I
have
don't
not.
know what it is. Rosalie thinks it's a nun.
Oh, yeah. I think Rosalie's correct.
Oh, you did think
Well,
that?
I do think it's Kanya is a female follower.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know if we want to stop a little early rather than starting on a new chapter. What do you think?
I think I'd like to hear a little of the opposition, because the Bear Baba's manifesting seems to be full force, good in full force now.
You
Meher
can
Baba,
read one page.
yeah. Page 11, master number, opposition. Meher Baba commented several times that the Parsis and Iranis will be the death of me. Indeed, some fanatical zealots did plot his murder, but Baba was referring most to abuse of his character than to physical attack. Baba's early followers were subjected to ridicule, scorn, and ostracism from the Zoroastrian community, and even within their own families. This was hardest on the women, whose lives were always more bounded by home and society. For a while, Gulmai and later her children and nephew were Baba's only followers in Ahmednagar, and Gulmai suffered terribly from the taunts of her relatives. But she withstood all these trials, and eventually her entire family became devoted to Baba. She became widely respected for her steadfastness and deservedly acknowledged by the title Meher Baba had given her as his spiritual mother. I just remembered, I think it is Merwan Sukadwala.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. Baba's biological mother, Shireen Mai, not only was tormented by the local Zoroastrians who spread vicious rumors about Baba, but was also distraught from her own motherly desires for her son. Mehera recalled that Shireen Mai had planned for Baba to study, to be a doctor or lawyer or engineer with a brilliant career, and then to marry and have a family. She thought he would be very rich one day. Quotes, all these were castles in the air. She was very disappointed when Baba continued to go to Babajan. People looked down on her, whispered behind her back, and generally ostracized her from the Zoroastrian community. Mehera's mother, Dalit Mai, had withdrawn from society after Jahangir's death. So she was not as affected by the backbiting of the gossip mongers. But she had another test to face. Because of her association with Baba, she was forced to break off connection with her favorite brother, Colonel M.S. Irani, who was convinced that Meher Baba was a charlatan out to steal his sister's fortune. As noted elsewhere, Colonel Irani was working in the military hospital in Aden during World War I. While he was still living in Aden, the question of his marrying had come up. The colonel was not opposed to getting married, but he wanted an educated girl who spoke English and was well-mannered. A Parsi family in Pune offered their daughter, but his family objected. Prevailing opinion at the time considered the Parsis, quotes, too modern, end quotes. The colonel's family preferred a simple Irani girl. Dalit Mai's parents and older brother Ardashir went to Bombay, where such a girl was found, and the marriage was arranged. The girl's name was also Shireen. She came to Pune to see the colonel before the wedding, and Dalit Mai and her daughters were called to meet the prospective bride. Mehera remembered her as being tall, but not very fair or attractive.
okay, we'll stop there.
Yeah. But
Those,
I remember now, I think it was Merwan Sukadwala, and his mother is related, is the daughter of Behram, his brother Behram, who married Perrin, Perin, and the daughter, what was her name? She married Jangu.
was it Gulnar?
Yes, Gulnar.
So I have to go now, but we'll pick up next week. And
Yeah,
then,
but you can look in Meher Baba Travels to see what his first name is.
you know, I checked that book of Jonathan's out of the library.
Yeah.
And I couldn't find it when I was leaving. And then I found it under a paper in my car.
Oh
So I
my
have
God.
it.
Oh yeah, read it.
I will.
It's the hot thing, I can tell you.
I will.
Colonel-
Okay.
Yeah, isn't
Colonel-
that interesting?
Excuse me, Colonel Irani's middle name was Sohrab.
Yeah. But the first name was Merwan, huh?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll
ah.
have to look into that.
But it was so funny to meet him before I had any clue who he was. He was
You
just
met
this young,
him?
he was, Yeah, I met him at my Tai Chi class in California.
Wait, Mayor
'Cause
one,
he's
Colonel Irani, you met?
reborn. He's
Oh,
reborn.
oh,
Baba pointed him out. He's in Baba's family because he's his brother Baram's. Well, not the son, but the son of his daughter. So
I see.
yeah, yeah.
All right, well, I gotta go, so I'll see you all next week.
The plot thickens.
Yeah, bye-bye. Jay
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.